Miracle, take a drink.
Look. Well, I guess I want to know what you ladies think about, like, when it comes to, like, trans women winning a Woman of the Year, or trans female, you know, in competitions with, I guess, natural females, and dominating in sports and things like that. Like, how does that make you feel as women to hear that type of thing? Because that type of thing is going on right now. Are y'all aware of?
I mean, I'm aware of the Woman of the Year situation because it was widely publicized.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as how I feel about it, I'm like, really, you're still a dude. So, I mean, you are still what God created you as. I don't care what you try to change to. It's just the fact is a fact. So this individual getting Woman of the Year is, to me, is like, okay, well, anybody can be a woman. You're a woman, everybody's a woman. You know, if I say I want to be an alien, well, you could be an alien, you know. And the thing is that if anything, your what's that word? Not pacifying, but it's kind of like, basically you're in agreement with what they're saying because it's the popular thing. Because, oh, look at who this person is, or look who this person influences. But if we go against it, then this backlash is going to happen. So let us do this to make it seem like we're in agreement, when that's not the truth. You're just going with the flow. So when a woman who is transgender, in my opinion, wins something against a cis woman, that's not an adequate thing for when it comes to competition or in any arena. I don't care what it is. That's not an adequate comparison, because you're a man who became a woman. Of course you're going to win the race, because men tend to be faster than women. I mean, we got boobs and stuff, you know. Well, you know, most of us. But I mean, you get my point. Yes. At the end of the day, a transgender woman is not a cis woman. You did not have to grow up being a little girl and go through the changes that we had to go through. We had to go through that embarrassing moment where we got our period and didn't know where it came from. Okay. I mean, all of these different experiences that creates experiences for us to experience womanhood, you missed out on all of that. That's, I'm like, really? You get to have that accolade saying, hey, I won Woman of the Year, but no, you didn't. You won Transgender Woman of the Year. Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? If it's a spade, call it a spade. And I completely agree with Shonda. You know, the word is the word, period, point blank. And I know we're not talking about, you know, sin per se, but unnatural affection, that is unnatural affection, period. You know, but that individual, I want to say this because I feel led to say it, that individual, that transgender woman, is no different than the woman who fornicates or the woman who has an affair. You know, there's no difference. But it doesn't mean that God does not love them, but God hates the sin. He doesn't hate the person, he hates the sin. And I think that with how society is now, when you see a lot of the group getting together and having these protests against certain companies and things like that, is because they feel singled out. But the truth of the matter is, they're not singled out. They just feel unwanted. That's just my opinion.
I think the irony is, it's easier for someone to change their gender and be accepted by society, but I still gotta fight for being Black. I don't understand that. Like, I can't wake up and change my race, but you can wake up and change your gender and you're accepted, and we better accept you or we're gonna get sued. But, you know, people can drop the N-word with Total bias. Ostracize whole races of people. Put little brown children in cages. Trump. But if I say something against somebody who's gay, lesbian, part of the alphabet committee, then it's a huge issue. And I don't think it's fair. Again, I'm not speaking negatively against their community, but I'm just saying, like, no. Going back to your question originally, no, there's no way that if LeBron James changes into a woman, that he should be able to play in the WNBA. No way, because he's gonna win, and it's not fair. There's no way that if Mike Tyson changes into Tyrona, that he should be able to compete in female boxing. Cause you see what he do to men. Imagine what he gonna do to a woman.
Biting off ears and stuff.
I was just thinking about knocking people's slap out. But yeah, that part too. So I think as far as in competition, whatever gender you were born, that's the gender that you have to compete as. Because that's only fair. That's only fair. I mean, like, let's be honest. And I do appreciate UFC and boxing and other sports who are taking a stand on that. They're like, whatever gender you were born as, that's the gender you're competing as of right now. Who knows? That may change in the next year. But I've seen some sports that have taken a stand on that because they realize it's it's an unfair advantage for someone who was born naturally of that gender. And even if I was a female changing to a male, I can't go dominate the NBA because there are certain things that you were given as a male that I was not given. Even if I change myself into that, I'm still not going to be there. And I also think, just randomly thinking, like, it's amazing to me how as humans this is okay, but you don't never see a zebra trying to change into a tiger. They both got stripes, but they ain't trying to be nothing else but what they are. And I just feel like, again, we just have to be able to identify with what we are and appreciate what God has chosen us to be.
Yeah. I mean, both of you ladies hit a lot on the head there. I mean, it's just it's interesting what you said about the animals. I was kind of reminded of I don't know if it was a verse or maybe it was something I said on the podcast. I can't remember, but basically, it's like we're given, like the mental capability to make choices and all these things, and it's like we use our wisdom that for things that does no earthly good. Sometimes that's what it seems. I don't know what Bible verse that is. Y'all look it up. But I mean, it's just it's all real, y'all. I mean, I know that like there's so much to discuss about this topic and everything like that. There's another thing. I don't know how long we've been talking, so we might have to let you guys go at some point. Do y'all want to? Okay, I just asked. Did y'all hear about? Because I heard recently about something that I guess just either got approved in New York or is about to get approved in New York, or something along those lines. Have y'all heard anything about New York in this topic? No. So what I heard was that trans people will be able to change their birth certificates.
Oh, they've been doing that. They've been doing that. That's in all states pretty much. But not necessarily, how shall I put this? You can legally change your name. And once you've had your gender reassignment, you can change your birth certificate so that it goes along with whatever your assigned gender is, which is kind of controversial. They've been doing that for a while now, actually. But the reason why it's controversial is because you can almost like erase your history. Like, this is something me and my husband talk about, is like, I have 2 sons. And like I said before, I ain't got nothing against the community, but I wouldn't want my son to be tricked, so to speak. Like, if you're a transgender woman, tell that person, don't try to pass as a full-blooded woman, because it's unfair to your spouse later in life. What about if your spouse wants to have kids and your passing is something that you're not, and even with your birth certificate, being able to almost falsify that information, because that's not what you were born as. When you were born as something else. Even if you felt as though you were born into the wrong body, the body that you were born into is that of a man.
Right. Yeah, that's what that individual that brought it up was talking about, like the deception, and like do you feel like that's you know, right or fair to the people that you're not sharing that information with or whatever. And I mean, it doesn't seem fair to me either. Like it's crazy. I mean, I just in regards to, it's like a crazy world that we're living in these days. And then, like I said, my heart goes out to the community because some, at least from what I've researched and seen, like I don't know the numbers, so I apologize about that. This is just a conversation. I wasn't trying to like throw out facts to y'all. I was just trying to see like what we as women felt, as you know, about this topic. But basically it's along the lines of like this community has a high suicide rate because but it boils down to, it's because they realize that even after the surgery, nothing has really changed, you know. I don't know if you guys have heard about that part of it too, but I mean, you know, it's just, we got to pray for people for sure. But I think, I mean, you know, we got to be honest and tell the truth as well. And honestly, I mean, hate to keep putting things back on the parents, but it starts at home. Like you said, Shonda, instilling in your children from, you know, from the beginning. I mean, what else can be done, do you all think? Like, is there anything that we can even do for this community, and for, I guess, even for ourselves as women to feel, because I'm going to put it out, this is so controversial to even have this conversation, you know, and I guess as Christians to have this conversation. And I mean, I feel like more conversations need to be had though. Like, I mean, I don't know if you ladies agree with that.
I think, like you said, what can we do first? Let's just start with the church. Let's just start there. The church won't call a spade a spade. We have too many pastors who are more concerned about their tithes and offering than they are about the soul and salvation of their members. So in church, we should be having these conversations about sexuality and gender, because the church approves one thing and then shuns another. Like, they'll approve, you know, Deacon Smith sleeping with, you know, Brother Johnson wife, but then you want to shun homosexuality, but you accept the gay choir director. You can't have it both ways. So the church has to first stand up and take a stand. Secondly, as far as like with the community, all we can do is pray for them. Pray for the parents. Pray for those parents who have kids who feel that they're trans. Pray that they're having these open conversations and they're standing up for what's right, even though it's painful. As far as the suicide rate, many transgendered teens commit suicide because they're unable to find counsel or expression or acceptance. But again, as we pointed out, this goes back to parenting. But like I said, I like to put it back on the church. If we're supposed to be the church of God and we're supposed to be having these conversations, we need to be having them. And they need to be had from the pulpit and not behind closed doors all the time. Like, take a stand. You either stand, you can't be lukewarm. You got to be hot or cold. And so it starts there. It's too much acceptance of what is in biblical standing of sin. And it just is what it is. And I mean, it's a harsh truth.
Pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. You know, we're supposed to have the standard. You notice that there's more of the world in the church than the church in the world. Which, for whatever reason, the world is influencing us more than we are them. And I think that's why too it's become accepted. So what we can do, you know, those of us who are like-minded and are after, you know, they you rarely hear it now, but it's still true. Holiness is still right. Holiness is not necessarily how you look, how you know, you don't wear no makeup, you wear long skirts and all of that stuff. No, it's about how you treat people. It's about what is going in your ear gates, what's going in your eye gates, what's going in your mind, and different things like that. So for me, the bottom line is for us to raise the standard. We're supposed to keep the standard. And if we don't, then everything else around us is following our trend, really, because we're supposed to be the believer. We're supposed to be the children of God. We're supposed to be the kingdom citizens. So if the kingdom citizens are acting like they're jackals, then what do you think is going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And then go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, just going off what you were saying, what one of our pastors said, what the church does in moderation, the world's going to do in excess. So if we're accepting a little bit in moderation, it's going to reflect in the culture in excess. So when we begin to accept certain things in the church that weren't right, I mean, it just magnified itself to the extreme. Like I told Miracle the other day, you know, even as far as like homosexuality and being transgender, okay, that's one form of sexual immorality, but so is shacking. But the church don't want to say nothing about that. But you know what's going on. So then when it keeps on progressing and progressing and progressing, now look where we are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all immorality. It all boils down to, as you said, we have to lift up the standard. And we have failed in that area. And I say we because I consider myself a Christian, part of the church, the body of Christ. And we failed.
Yep. Well, again, you know, I guess I hope that this conversation inspires others to, you know, also have the conversation, and, you know, whether it be with your families, whether it be with your friends. So hopefully that maybe all of us can eventually come together and, you know, raise the standard overall. You know, I won't be long you all's time because, like I said, I don't know how long this conversation has been. But I just want to thank you ladies again for being brave enough to have this conversation. I want to thank you ladies for joining me for the little wind down, you know, the little.
Yes, y'all could have sent me a robe or something. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and maybe next time, you know, we all will something. when the budget goes up, you know what I'm saying? I'll send packages. we all wear fancy robes. But yeah, I appreciate your time, ladies. Thank you all so much. If there's anything that you would like to say to just kind of, I guess, wrap it up or whatever, even if it goes in the episode or not, you know, because maybe we can put it on the site or something like that. Yeah, you ladies can, if anybody has any final thoughts or anything they would like to say.
I guess for me is it all starts with the conversation. Without conversations, we're left to our own thoughts, and we wind up living out our own thoughts and not considering that there are other ways to approach things. Such like with the topic that we've had, if these individuals maybe would have had an honest conversation with their parents or whomever their guardian was at the time, they may be in a different place. So that's all I have.
Yeah.
Say I want people to see this episode not as like us bashing those who are transgender, because I don't think that's the intent. I think it's more or less trying to get people to look at it from a biblical perspective and like really understanding that, as Regina said, and I think is, you know, beautiful to reinstate, holiness is right. And none of us are perfect. Never said that I was, but we have to remember that at the end of the day, we all have to face our makers. So no, this is not a bash against those who are trans, gay, bi, whatever you want to call it. We love all of y'all. But at the end of the day, you know, as you are entitled to your opinions, we are entitled to ours. And it's not an attack against anybody. You're free to live as you want to. Even Jesus gives us freedom and freedom of choice. This is, as we've said before, just simply a conversation so that all perspectives are represented and you don't have to feel as though there's a fear of backlash, because it really shouldn't be any. You don't receive backlash for living out your expression of however you want to do it. So for us to, you know, be able to freely say how we feel as far as from the religious and biblical perspective, I think this has been a fair conversation.
Wonderful, ladies, wonderful. I guess the thing I would want to leave is just understanding that in Christ we are made free and all are welcome. You know, when it says go into the world and make disciples and everything like that, or even when it says what's that, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. So that's whosoever, man, woman, girl, boy, you know, black, white, all are welcome. You know, I hope you all join us in being whosoever believes, because there is so much freedom in Christ. And I think at the end of the day, with that freedom, you just really love to, I guess, love yourself, see yourself for, you know, who God made you to be, and walking in that is just, I don't know, probably the most free thing I've done. I don't know about you ladies, but it is, you know. So, well, you know, look, I can talk to you ladies for a long time, you know. So, like I said, I won't be long the time, but ladies, again, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to having you all back on. And everyone, thank you and good night.